back, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm your host, Allie Hysong, coming at you live from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Joined with me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Dustin, out in Idaho. And a very special guest this afternoon. We have Browns defensive end Porter Gustin on the line. Porter, thank you for taking the time to jump on with us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Well, of course. As you know, it's Steelers week, and you know what that's like in Cleveland. But I'll go ahead now. If you want, I'll go ahead and ask him the first question, and then we'll kind of kick it off if you're all right with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, guys, if you're just joining us, this is a show by the fans for the fans. We want to give a shout out to our good friends at onlyincleve.com. So go check them out for all your Browns apparel. Dustin, get into it.
Well, Porter, the one thing I found kind of cool and unique about your kind of journey into football is obviously you were born in Boise. You end up in Utah and then at USC. So, tell me, kind of take me through that path of life, ended up growing up here in Boise, making it down to Utah, and then your journey to USC, and now in the National Football League and playing in Cleveland, that kind of journey. Tell us a little more about that.
It's been a long journey with a lot of different, I guess, lifestyles or cultures, just going from, small town to LA, but living in Idaho growing up, I was in a small town, played 3 sports all my life growing up, kind of being the star of the team all the time, just in a small town. So I had planned on living there for, all the way up until college. And then just after my sophomore year, a couple things changed. We saw a couple opportunities down in Utah and had some family down there. So decided to actually make the move just after my sophomore year, after a couple of years in high school here in Idaho. And then at first I wasn't too happy about it. I liked home in Idaho, and I thought things were good, and I saw a pretty good future. Really liking Boise State growing up, kind of hoping to go there. So that was kind of where I was at. And then I went to Utah. It was still a small town. It was a little bit bigger. We were close to a couple colleges right there by BYU, and
Okay.
Utah was right there close as well. And moving on to Utah, being in a little bit bigger school and a little bit better competition, I was able to get some looks that I probably wouldn't have gotten in Idaho. So that ended up benefiting me. And really after my junior year, I just started piling on the offers, and USC came on early, and they recruited me from the start. And so, I kind of had a good relationship with those coaches down there, and they were just coming off sanctions, and everything seemed to be going uphill over at USC. And I think everybody my age remembers growing up with the Reggie Bush era and those teams growing up, because they were the dominant team. So I ended up going there, and obviously LA's a lot different than what I was used to. It was a good change, a different perspective, and going on to USC.
I'm in Idaho to LA, right?
yeah, it's night and day, completely different. But it's good to change up the perspective. So it was a good deal. Learned a lot, fought through injuries, and then it ended up, here in Cleveland after taking a short trip to New Orleans. So I've gone a little bit. I've gone to a couple different places now. So I've traveled the map.
Yeah.
And not just have you traveled around, have you, done all of that, but you've also transitioned from a different position. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you started out as an outside linebacker. And then once you got into the NFL, that kind of transitioned you over to defensive end. Can you walk us through what that transition's been like? What were some of the challenges, and how hard is it to do?
Yeah. So in college, I was an edge guy. I was kind of a stand-up outside linebacker / defensive end, but I was standing up all the time. So really, I was an outside linebacker. I guess if you want, the true listing would be as an edge player. And then, going into New Orleans, they actually originally they told me they wanted me to play a true outside, stacked linebacker, so I wouldn't be on the edge all the time anymore. So I started learning drops a lot more, in the coverage or dropping back, because I hadn't done a ton of that at USC. I had done a little bit, but being an edge guy, you're mostly up on the line and you're doing simple drops. And then going into New Orleans and being a true outside linebacker, it was a lot to learn. There's a lot to take in. I had lost a little bit of weight just because I'd be running around a lot more. And then just before camp started, they actually told me that I would now be moving to a true defensive end, which I had never done before. I had never played with my hand in the ground. So now I had lost weight to become an outside linebacker, and now they're telling me to be a defensive end. So that was probably the most challenging part. I think learning to play with my hand in the ground, there's a lot of similarities to what I did at USC, just playing the edge, except for obviously now I was not standing up anymore. So it wasn't a huge transition, the position, I guess, but that camp was tough because I was so light going down. I was 250 pounds trying to play defensive end, which is tough. So that transition was difficult. And then obviously after camp, when I got released, I really dedicated my time to putting on that weight and making sure that the next team I went to, that I would be at the proper weight and put myself in a good position to, have some success. And here we are.
And here we are. Sounds good. Well, we're happy to have you. Happy to have you in Cleveland.
I say, what a journey. So I know we're in kind of an interesting times in the National Football League. I know we talked a little bit off air, even with the Browns, with the facility and having to retest everybody. So, going back preseason to where we're at now with, having to learn via Zoom with Coach Stefanski and the defensive unit and your defensive coaches, how has it been for you to prepare in this pandemic, and how do you mentally prepare compared to a normal game day in a normal situation like you would last year, for instance, and how has that changed with protocol and stuff within the organization there?
It's certainly different, but early on, Coach Stefanski's, he kind of came to us with the slogan of "Embrace the suck," and that's something that I think a lot of us have really taken to heart, and I certainly have, and really just coming in with the mindset of there's no room for complaining, there's no room for being negative about it, because everybody's going through the same thing. So you really got to just adjust and get what you can out of it, get the most out of it, because there's probably a lot of teams out there that maybe aren't taking that same approach, and they're not getting as much out of it as they could. And really the difference is everything's spaced out. There's a lot of stuff that's being done on Zoom, which can be tough at times, but there's a couple little perks in there. We get our own hotel rooms. There's more space on the bus and on the planes. So you got to take a little. What's that?
You don't have to bunk with anybody. That's there you go.
Yeah, take what you get.
Exactly. So you got to take those positives. But yeah, we've adjusted. It kind of feels like the norm now. Honestly, looking back, it's tough to even remember the big differences from last year to this year, because we've been doing this for a while now.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Embrace the suck. That's put that on a shirt. That's something good. But let's talk about that real quick. I want to get into your, see from your eyes, see from your perspective. Coach Stefanski comes in this year and you see a drastic change. There's a lot of discipline. It seems like guys are really bought in. Everybody's kind of moving towards the same goal. Dustin makes fun of me because the word that I overuse on this show is the word alignment, but there's alignment within the organization, and you can see it coming to fruition on game days. Can you just kind of walk us through what it's like to play for Coach Stefanski, what it's like to be in the Joe Woods defense, and really kind of how that's different this year than it was last year?
I think what Coach Stefanski really brought to the table is he brought, I guess, organization and culture change kind of. The feel from the beginning was one that, we're here to take care of business. We're going to work, and we're going to work smart, and we're going to do the little things right. So, and then when we're thinking of Joe Woods, honestly, the biggest difference over on the defensive side that I can think right out of the gate, and we learned it from the get-go, is being up front on the defensive line is he really allows us to be aggressive and attack, and I think that benefits our front a lot. There's a lot less thinking and more, just go and play, and as long as everybody's doing that together, it works for itself. But there's a lot of difference schematically. It's tough to get into that, but the other thing is, with Freddie, I wasn't here from the beginning last year, so I wasn't here throughout camp and a lot of the growing part and everything else going into. So when I came in, it was week 8, and things have kind of already developed, and what I saw wasn't really the full picture. So it's kind of hard to talk on that, but all I have is positives for the new coaching staff. We get to work. We work every day, and we work smart. It's not overworking. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's kind of the tone, watching Building the Browns, and some of the things that us Browns fans get to see from training camp was one of the things that Coach Stefanski was saying was, we're going to work. We're going to work. That was like the word you heard over and over and over again. And you're seeing it on the field. So I appreciate it, Porter. Dustin, go ahead.
Yeah.
So as we talked about, it's Steelers week. You know how much this means to Browns fans and the community there in Cleveland. Now that you've been there for a while in Cleveland, have you felt even this week what this game means to the Cleveland fans and how big of a rivalry game this is and has been for decades?
Yeah, I've gotten a good feel for it. I got a good feel for it last year as well. It's a little bit different. We're not really able to, see fans, or the fans aren't at the games, but I get a good feel from social media, even though I'm not necessarily super involved in what's going on there. But I know how important it is, and not only that, but it's very important for this season too. 4-1. They have a great record, obviously, and it really can be a statement game for us. So it's important.
On that note, we're going into Steelers week. It's the Friday before the game day. Can you just kind of walk us through what your week's like as you're preparing to go to Pittsburgh? We know that you're taking a bus over there. You're driving to Pittsburgh. You're not you're not going up in the air. But what's a typical game week like as a player?
Oh, well, there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah. But to simplify it, Monday we come in and we make our corrections from the day before. We get a workout in, kind of get the body moving. Guys are rehabbing and doing things, to get their body right. And then Tuesday's the day off. There's an option to go in and get a workout in, which I do like to do on Tuesday. We're supposed to get 3 in every week. So I think it's good to go in and get and bang that out on Tuesday. Also, getting movement in, to me, movement is medicine. So I like to, move around a little bit on that off day. And then when we come back Wednesday, it's full go. That's our work day, and we're rolling. We're padded up and we're going. And then and it's first and second down for the defense. Defense and offense is both, but and then Thursday is we call it third down Thursday. We're back at it again. It's usually a little less physical. We go into shells. And then Friday, it's just today, call it Crisp Friday. The game plan's in, everything. everything's in physically. We put everything in, and now it's time to be crisp and make sure we're there mentally and we're doing everything right and kind of go through everything one last time. And then usually we'd be in meetings on most days right now, but because it's Friday, we're out. We get a little bit more time off today, and then we come back tomorrow and we meet again, we walk through, and then we're ready to roll. So it's a busy week, and there's a lot of meetings throughout the week, but we're into a routine now. So it kind of just, it goes fast, and it comes and goes. And
Yeah, as I say, the NFL is a week to week, as you know. It's like, win or lose, you flip the switch and you go to the next week pretty quick and prepare for your next opponent. And that's just kind of how it is. Like you said, there's a program set in place where this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all that for sure. Well, here's a question I had, and then we'll get back to Allie. Obviously, with fans, some in the stands this year, we have a Browns backers club here, the Boise Browns backers. Have you had any other interactions with Browns clubs or fans, in particular last year or this year? And what has that experience been like? We're pretty passionate. We're pretty vocal.
And we're a show by the fans for the fans. So we're a live stream right now. So I've got some messages from our fans, from our listeners. But Dustin, I don't mean to cut you off, but that's what we are. We're a passionate fan base. So we'd like to get your perspective on that.
Yeah. What has your personal interaction been so far, and what has your been takeaway, being with the Browns?
Yeah, I've had some interactions. In fact, I had some really good friends back in Emmett, Idaho that were Browns fans, and I knew it all growing up, and then I had kind of forgotten until I got here again, and then of course I was reminded. So my impression has been very passionate, very loyal. There's been some tough years here in Cleveland. That's why it feels that much better to get off to a hot start here and keep it going. But and then there's Browns fans everywhere, so it's a wide fan base. It's a passionate group, and it's great to be part of it. So
yeah, most definitely. We are a passionate fan base. We're excited, and as you know, Porter, we've had some rough years in Cleveland. So for us Browns fans, it's great. We're off to a hot start, and I'll get you out of here on this one. We know your time's valuable, and we won't take up too much of it. But we're talking about wins. We're hopeful for a win in Pittsburgh this weekend. What's it like after a Browns win? What's the locker room like? What's the energy like? What's it? Walk us through that. What's it like after a Browns win?
There's a lot of energy after a Browns win. We got a lot of players that they play with a lot of passion, and they celebrate with a lot of passion. That's another thing that this coaching staff has really brought into this culture is to celebrate the win, celebrate turnovers, celebrate great plays, and celebrate wins. So we've taken that on, and we celebrate when we win. So it's a great time.
We're happy to hear it. Just a quick message from one of our listeners, our friend Michael Newport. His message to you, Porter, is hit Ben hard and often. So we're all looking forward to it.
Great game plan right there.
Just do that and we'll be golden.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Porter, this was great. Thanks for taking the time. This is the Here We Go Brownies podcast. We're excited to have defensive end of the Cleveland Browns, Porter Gustin, on with us right now. Dustin, any closing thoughts as we wrap up here?
No, again, appreciate. We'd love to have you back anytime. We do a weekly show. We'd love to have you. We'll give a shout out to those folks out here in Idaho. I know they love you. We watch you every Sunday from Beef O'Brady's on Eagle Road. You probably know where that is out there. That's where the Browns Backers Club is. And when I told them I was doing the interview, they're like, yeah, you just tell him to hit Pittsburgh as hard as he can. That's all he has to do. So we again appreciate it. We know your time is valuable, and we just enjoyed the opportunity today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
guys, with that, we're going to end the show. Thanks for everybody that jumped on. This is the Here We Go Brownies podcast. Remember to go check out onlyincleve.com. With that, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Browns.